Okay, welcome to my little teardrop pod. I said I'd do an update on some of the fishing tackle I've been getting. So I wanted to do some ultralight fishing for just different species, fresh and salt water. And once I started digging around into that, I realized there are probably two different sizes I wanted to go for, like extra ultralight or super ultralight or whatever you want to call it, but really small hooks and jigs for, you know, little species, you know, anything down to tiny size. Like in Japan they have I think it's called tanaga, where you're trying to catch a fish that's small enough to fit on one of their coins, which is 2 centimeters, just under an inch. And so I thought, well, I'll get both sets, and so I started looking online, looked in Amazon, eBay, AliExpress, and now Temu. Temu's turned out to be like an excellent source. AliExpress is good for cost as well, but it takes quite a long time for that stuff to get there. So at the moment what I have is I have 2 reels. This is the Shimano Soa C2000 SSHG, so it's high speed, high gear, and that's got some Varavas finesse line on there, which is super fine diameter. It's at P0.4, but breaking strain they say is 9 pounds. I'm waiting. I've got a rod which I bought locally. It is a Chinese. I'm trying to do all of my rods for under $100, because if you break a rod, which happens especially when you're traveling in a small space and they're ultra fine rods like this, like these ones, you know, tips will snap stuff. I'm not interested. Many years ago I bought a Saltiga Dorado rod for $600, and after having used it about 4 times, I struck a fish and snapped the tip section off, and after that I was like, no, rod's a commodity. As long as the action's nice and it's castable, I'll spend the money on the reel and go for something cheap on the rod. I'm sure other people will have a different perspective on it. That's the way I've gone. So this is a $200 reel, Australian, and it's super smooth, like super smooth. It also has the shallow spool, so you don't have to go putting in hundreds of meters of braid that you're never going to use. This I got in one of our local big box stores called Anaconda. This is a Daiwa Crossfire 4BS 2000 LT. It's a Crossfire LT 2000 4BS. I think the 4BS is the bearings. Now you can see that there is a distinct difference between the quality of that and that, but also that's 4 times the price. Now I have a 2-piece 6-foot rod, which I'll match up with one of them, and then I've got a 4-piece rod which is on its way, which I will match up with the other. I will probably use this reel more for bash about, saltwater, and then that one will be more for the finesse, but just to be looked after a little bit better. I won't know which rod I'm going to put which reel on until I get both rods and have a look at them. But what I did before that for portability was I spotted this little guy on eBay. That is a tiny graphite telescopic rod. So it's 1.68 meters, which I think is 5'6" or something like that. This is the Okuma CMART C10. Hey, it's cheap. I've spooled it with 4-pound mono. I'm not using fluorocarbon because, one, it's expensive, and two, from the reading I've done, most of the benefits that are attributed to it, like visibility and stuff, are a bit of a furphy. They're not really, it's not actually doing that much more for the fish than mono. Mono is tougher. When it gets nicked, it retains better strength, but also I've seen a bunch of stuff about when you max out a fluorocarbon, I might have said braid a couple of times in there. Once you max out fluorocarbon, it loses strength rapidly. So if you hook a big fish, fight it hard, you can damage the line. Now, I had some old fluorocarbon, and I did a little bit of testing with that, and that seemed to be the case. Like, as soon as I maxed it out, it would start going all curly and horrible. And it's cheaper. So this is like a 4-pound 0.16 mil thick line. The spool isn't a shallow spool, it's a deep spool. You do have to be careful of wind knots, but it will chuck, as you'll see in or have seen in the other video, it will chuck a little, I suppose this is like 1.5 grams or something like that, or like that, around, no problems at all. The only downside to it is, if we just have a look, that tip section really needs well, it would be nice if it had an extra eye in there, but then you have to use a floating eye, which comes with all of its own set of problems. This will cast that lure like a good distance, 15-20 meters, and this is so portable and it's fun. I'm pretty happy. That rod was $50. That reel was $50. The line, I think, was around 30. That's actually one of the things that's coming up with all of this gear, is you can get a good reel for under $100 Australian. You can get a good rod for under $100 Australian. Line, when you're talking about the good quality braids, you end up spending more on the braid than you do on the fishing reel. I'm not sure. I'm gonna go back and buy some 4-strand braid and do some tests with that, because if there isn't much difference between it in this ultralight, then it's probably more robust, and it's probably going to be a lot cheaper, because once you cast off this stuff, you get a few wind knots, maybe you chop some bits off the end, and all of a sudden your spool is down from where it was. You're no longer casting these tiny lures, and so you got to re-spool up. So it'd be cheaper with 4-strand. So I might do some testing with that. This I probably mainly use for freshwater, because it's easy to carry, easy to get into little places, little creeks and stuff. So now, while I was at that, I also I've got an inflatable, so I will go out and do some fishing in more open waters with a a small 3.5 horse outboard. So I was interested. I've done some jigging. I find it fun, so I was interested in a slow jig rod. I found this guy. I can't remember. I think this was $65. So this is a Sophia 632. So I think that's like 1.9 meters. This is P 0.6 to 1.2. And jig weight 10 to 60 grams. I had this Daiwa Fuego LT already, so I've spooled this up with 20-pound line. Doesn't actually, either the line's lying and it's a lot thicker than what it says it is, or I'm not sure what, but it doesn't actually fit as much line on as what I was expected. But you know, hey, I've never been spooled before. I've always wrapped tons of braid on all my reels, and it's really, you know, it's just not worth it for the chance that once in 1,000 times you're going to catch something, and it's going to spool you. I think that just goes with the game. So this actually balances really nicely, and I didn't expect that. I thought I was going to put a 4,000 on this outfit. Anyway, I'm super happy with it. It casts one of these jigs, like a 10 or 20 gram jig, it will cast a country mile. It's yeah, like it just flies off. 60 grams, I'm not sure I would be casting with it. Or at least if I was casting, I wouldn't be loading it, because yeah, that seems a bit heavy. But it's got a beautiful action. It works the lures really nicely. I'm really happy with it. The only thing what I was finding was buying jigs in Australia is expensive, particularly if you're hooking them on the bottom and losing them. So, you know, something like this is like about 10 bucks. Now, I went bananas on AliExpress and Temu, and this is this little here is my, I hate unboxing videos, but this is my little stash that's arrived today. I have got I think 4 or 5 series of stuff that are coming. Some like one rod. Oh, that's the other reel I've got. This I bought this one from Amazon, and I bought it on the recommendation of one of the big websites in the US as a good budget small reel. When I bought it, I hadn't done as much reading, and I bought a 500. The 1,000 size in this brand and this line of reel only is an extra 2 inches. So this is 20 inches per wind of the handle, and the 1,000 is 22 inches per wind of the handle. So there's not really that much. The 2,000, it jumps up, but also the gear ratio jumps up. So I was umming and ahhing about whether I was going to send this little tagger back and change it for a bigger one. But one of the things that I want to do is try and catch some real microfish, and I figured the slow retrieve is actually going to be beneficial, because you know, people say just slow down your retrieve to make it go slow, but it doesn't kind of work like that. Whereas this, it's like impossible to reel it in fast because it's so small. It's got a nice little, you know, oh, it's not tightened in there. It's got a bendy arm on it. But it's got a nice little, you know, yeah, it's smooth. It's got a bunch of ball bearings in it. Hey, it was 50 bucks. What can you do? So, This guy I'm spooling with some really light 2-pound braid, and I'll get like maybe 150. I'll probably get that. I think it's 150 yards, so that's 135 meters or something, 137 meters. So I'll get all of that on with maybe 10 meters of mono backing, and that should set me up. Now I've got a rod coming from AliExpress for this, and this rod alleges that it's 0.2 to 0.8 gram cast weight. So I'm actually buying some tungsten headed flies to fish with this, because the tungsten heads are heavy enough for it to be a cast weight for this outfit. And you know, in Australia we've got a bunch of feral species like carp and redfin perch. You know, there's people who've released some aquarium fish at various places around, and we got a tilapia problem. So to tackle some of the smaller ones of those, it'll be fun to use this. But also we've got a bunch of natives, like little galaxids, like mini trout. And I just want to go and see what's in the rivers. You know, we're going for species count. So I've got some flies, I've got some micro jigs, and I've got some and I have to check what it's called, Japanese micro hooks for catching very small pre-snelled, and they're size 30 or 33, the hooks. They've got a different shape, so that the barb gets into the mouth easily, or the hook point gets into the mouth easily. And you can fish them with you know, bait under a bobber or just off the end of the rod. So we will end up with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 outfits. So let's look at some of the stuff that we've got. So what are on these ultralight outfits, there's a style of fishing from again coming out of Japan called aji fishing. Now aji are horse mackerel, or in Australia we call them yakas or yellowtail. They're one of the kind of prime baits. Now I would be able to fish the ultralight gear to catch my liveys, to fish on bigger gear for kingfish, yellowtail kingfish, or jewfish, mulloway, that kind of thing. The first day that I got the original rod, which if you saw episode 1, that was the one that I snapped the tip section off. The first day I got that, I also had a micro metal jig that I got when I bought it, and this is the kind of thing. So these guys are like, I hate these packages that are impossible to get stuff out of. That's why I'm fiddling around there. So this, I think, is like a 1.5 gram, 2 gram micro jig. There are some smaller ones. So I have got the slow jig outfit here, but these are not for that. These are to go with the ultralight. So I'll stick these guys down here. And this, same, different color. Another one, again just different colors. These are the really small one. I'm gonna open this guy up. Yeah, it's just tiny, so you can make catching your live bait a fun thing, instead of buggering around with strings of sabiki jigs that get all tangled up and such like. You can go and cast these little lures, and if like I cast one off a wharf the other day and water was murky, couldn't see anything, 2 casts, little live yakker about that big, very happy. Then let's see, slightly bigger, a bunch of these are glow in the dark as well. And then slightly big, longer, faster jig, little heavier, maybe 5 grams or something like that, this guy. So probably good for little snapper, little brim. Now the rest of this stuff is really around this slow jig outfit. So this is and that guy's, I think that's a 10 or 20, no, that's a 20 gram. It's got a nice leaf shape to it, that's going to flutter really well. This guy here, these octopus style jig heads, like I've used these in the past. I actually went on a fishing trip up to out into the Coral Sea, and I used these on a light jigging outfit, and they absolutely smashed the reef fish. Red Emperor, those kind of things, slightly bigger than this, but Red Emperor, Spangled Emperor, all of the red reef fish, coral trout, super successful. So I thought, get some of these in a lighter weight to go with the slow jig rod. And then, I don't know, you get kind of overexcited with packages. So we've got some 30s grams. I think that's probably a 40 gram shiny guy. Another little one, another pack. Actually those are the 30s. I think that's probably 20s down here. Flutter jigs. I did have I've got a couple of longer ones which will probably sink faster and just give me a different action. Another one of those guys, like that. Okay, so one reel in the car in front, one rod in the car in front, which I haven't shown you, which probably will get paired with this reel, which is the Crossfire. One 4-piece rod on its way, which will pair with this reel, probably, and then one uber thin whippy rod to pair with this reel. Now alongside that I've got a bunch of I've got some microplastics, jig heads, some flies, and some floats, because you can fish some of these lures under floats, and when all that stuff arrives, I'll do another video, make another big mess, and show you what I've got. But so far, buying stuff from doing it this way, and I know it's great to buy it onshore, but I don't I'm on a budget. What I've paid for with all of this stuff, if I'd have bought everything in country, it probably would have cost me 4 times as much, 5 times as much maybe. So I've saved a bunch, well, saved a bunch of money, spent a bunch of money, but this is, I probably haven't explained, my immune system got messed up a few years ago from mold and a virus. This is before COVID, about 12 years ago, and it gave me chronic fatigue syndrome, or at least that's what they want to call it, and I react badly to the environment, so mold, pollen, bushfires, pollution. So I drive, I no longer work, I drive around to escape whatever it is that's causing me a problem, and it's a pretty, it can be pretty isolated, so you need a purpose, and I've always loved fishing, so for me fishing is what I'm going to do, fishing and photographs. Okay, so I have 2 Instagram pages, one which is photos that I've just taken driving around Australia, so scenery, sunsets, wildlife, all of that kind of stuff, which is called, my handle is @nomadpod. So yeah, if you like looking at landscape photos and wildlife and stuff, there's some good pictures on there. The other one that I've set up for this ultralight fishing is called LRF_fishing_Oz. I've only got 2 photos in there, both of dusky flathead, but hopefully we'll get a bunch more as I go around. At the moment I'm in a bit of limbo because I'm having car problems. I'm trying to sell my old van because it's done too many kilometers, and my new car that I'm towing this teardrop camper with is misfiring, or it's got a problem, and getting a mechanic to diagnose it is being more difficult than I expected, particularly because the problem is intermittent. So hopefully get that sorted in the next couple of weeks, and we'll go out and about and start doing some fishing. So what I'm going to do is I've started making some marks on Google Maps of places that I want to go, that I know of, but there is a great app in Australia called WikiCamps, which has all of the camping locations, and you can create filter sets in it. So, you know, these are campsites with toilets and four-wheel drive access only, or these are campsites with mobile reception. But one of the options for filtering there is these are campsites with swimming or fishing. So what I can do is I can jump on this map and decide where I'm going to stay or where I'm going to park based on whether or not there's a waterway near that campsite, and that will hopefully give me a bunch of places to try some of these fishing gear. That's my plan. Hopefully we will be able to get some good photos and see some things that we haven't seen before, and you know, basically do a species run, see what's out there, what we can hook, what we can have a look at, and then on the larger side of things, I need to increase my omega-3 in my diet, so I need to start eating some more fish. And for me, if I catch the fish myself, is the way I can guarantee its freshness, and one of my problems is with histamine, and a fish that is aged or has been sitting around on the slab for a while, the histamine levels go up, and that causes me issues. So with this, we'll call it part of my food plan. Okay, well, that's me for today. I babbled at you for a while. Thank you very much for watching. If you want to see more of this kind of thing, I am hopefully going to have the energy levels to keep producing the content, and it would be great if people liked and subscribed. I probably won't engage comments at this stage, and the reason for that is with my health condition, like my mood and anxiety and depression are pretty, you know, they can get pretty bad, and dealing with comment sections on other people's channels is bad enough without having to deal with them on my own. So I'm sorry for that. If I manage to keep this going for any length of time, I will offer up an alternate contact method rather than the comments section, and if I get any better and can deal with well, the stuff that happens in comment sections, then I'll go for that. But at this stage, you'll just have to bear with me, and we'll pump some videos out and see whether people like them. Alright, thanks. Check you later.